I don't understand what my friend's talking about here.
And we are back. What's happening, everyone? Welcome to CPA Reviewed, the official podcast of Another71.com. I am your humble host, Jeff Elliott, a licensed CPA in the state of Kansas, much to the chagrin of many, I'm sure. All right, on today's show, we are going to switch it up a little bit. We're doing a video podcast today, so what that means is essentially I can put it up on YouTube. And that's all that means. So we're going to answer some questions. We have a bunch of questions. I don't know how many we will get to. If you like the video podcast, let me know. If you hate it, let me know. Actually, just don't let me know. Hurts my feelings. All right. Sherry says, the only section I had left to pass was auditing. And I just found out I got a 74 and in turn lost my credit for BEC. I'm so depressed and discouraged. What should I do to regain my passion and motivation? All right. Well, I once found myself in this situation, and all I had left to pass was regulation. And hey, I also got a 74. I got back-to-back 74s, and instead of being 1 point away from being a CPA, I lost my financial accounting and reporting credit. So, what do you do when you lose a credit? Because well, you know the euphoria of passing an exam section, especially financial accounting and reporting. But however exciting that is, losing it is even worse. I can tell you that. I was so mad at the time that I wanted to throw my laptop through the wall. And I kind of went through this blame game momentarily where I just thought the AICPA was out to get me or something. And then I realized, hey dude, you need to get your butt in gear and, stop screwing around. You just, the topics you hate the most are AMT, 1231, 1245, 1250, light count exchanges. You need to buckle down and study that stuff. Go back from the beginning, study everything, and get it to where you're exam ready on those topics, just like you were before. But you really have to take your weak areas and just pound multiple choice questions. And that's what I did. And I went from a 74 to a 92 on regulation. And so then I had FAR staring me in the face. And FAR is bad enough the first time. Actually, it was like 3 or 4 times for me, but no, it's 3 times. And I just did not want to take it again, but I did, and I passed the next time with a 76. So how do you stay motivated? Well, for me, I just decided that AICPA wasn't going to beat me. I just created in my mind that they were my opponent. They weren't going to beat me. So I got up in the morning at 5 and studied. I studied at lunch. I stayed late. The AICPA was not going to beat me. And, obviously the AICPA was not out to get me, but just in my mind, I made it like a competition, and I won. So, Mara says, I failed reg twice now with a 60 and a 61. I know I'm putting in the time using a self-study course and Wiley multiple choice questions. Do you think I should change review courses? With a 60 and 61, I know you think that you're putting in the time, but I would question that because unless your review course, it doesn't match your learning style to the point to where you don't want to use it, and so that's why you're not studying with it. So instead, you're just trying to throw the old Hail Mary and just do a bunch of multiple choice questions, which can be done, but it's not advised. I think there is a significant conceptual deficiency in your study prep. And it's probably not due to lack of effort as far as time, but maybe you're not studying as efficiently and effectively as you could be. Now, I mean, do you need to change review courses? That's up to you, but I mean, if you're putting in 110% effort instead of like 60%, yeah, then maybe you need to move on to a different course. If nothing else, just for just change it up mentally, but I would hesitate to blame your review course. So it's up to you. If you do change your review course, there's no harm in that. 60 to 61, that just really means that you're pretty far off and something's wrong. Either you don't work well with your review course, or you're just not putting in the time. Now, only you know that. Christopher says, I failed FAR twice in a row with a 66 both times. I've done multiple choice questions over and over and have memorized my flashcards. I have the Ninja notes, but I've only read through them once. What should I do? Well, I would go back through your study prep course. You've done the multiple choice questions over and over. Maybe it's time to get a different test bank. So if you have whatever course, if you don't have Wiley, get Wiley. If you have Wiley and you haven't memorized, get something else. You only read over the Ninja notes once. Shame on you, Christopher. Yeah, I'd read the Ninja notes as many times as possible. But I mean, I would take them everywhere you go with you, on your iPhone, iPad, Kindle, whatever you have. It's PDF. Put it up on your desk at work. Read it before you go to bed. Nothing will put you to sleep quicker than the Ninja notes at night. So work through your study prep course. Again, do a ton of multiple choice questions, but really read those Ninja notes, especially the last week of your review. And the final week of your review, I would start with your weakest area first and work backwards doing multiple choice questions. Coffee break. By the way, this is a cup my wife gave me for our anniversary. Isn't that sweet? Okay. Angelo says, I failed. See, I have to do that on video because I can't stop and edit it. I mean, I could, but it's a pain, so I just let it roll. So, Angelo says, I failed financial 3 times in a row. And I think it's because of the simulations and research. I don't know how to do this part of the exam. What can I do to improve this area? Angelo, if you go on another71.com, I recently wrote an article about, it was an Ask the Ninjas. So technically I didn't write it. The ninjas wrote it. That's a joke. And on how to tackle the simulations. But the gist of what I said was, make sure that you practice the AICPA practice sims. Now, it used to be cpa-exam.org. If you type that in, it'll redirect to the AICPA website. So go to the AICPA practice exam and make sure that you have gone over that, know how to do the research component, yada, yada. Second point is that you really need to have simulation software. So Marketing Alert, buy the Wiley test bank for me. And what was the last one? Oh yeah, finally, well, this is for financial. So your question was for financial, so this doesn't apply, but for BEC, you really need to practice writing essays, which is particularly important for people who have English as their second language. So I would just practice multiple choice, practice simulations using like the Wiley test bank or whatever you have. And I would really make sure that you know how to navigate the research component on exam day using the AICPA deal. At the end of the day, I believe that if you know the multiple choice questions, then you stand a really good chance of doing the simulations. Again, you could study 10 different simulation topics and get none of them. So you can do bonds, inventory, pensions, whatever, governmental accounting, and get none of those. And I'm pretty sure governmental accounting is fair play. But anyway, I hope that helps. Oz says, I plan to sit for my first exam in February 2013. Is it too early to buy review course materials? I like a head start, but I don't want outdated materials. All right. This video and podcast is being recorded in October 2012. And so for you to buy review materials. And my voice will not stop cracking. I'm 34, not 14. I swear. So to buy, I would not buy review materials until you are ready to start studying, and you're going to sit for your first exam February 2013. So maybe buy your prep course in December or so when they all come out. Yeah, you don't. The CPA review companies, first of all, they don't offer refunds. So if you buy their ginormously expensive product and you think it sucks, they're not going to give you your money back. That's ridiculous. So I don't know any place else where you can buy a very expensive product and have no chance of returning it if you think it's garbage. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. And what other cliches I can come up with like that. But you want to buy their most up-to-date course, so you don't have to jump through hoops. And if you get an online course, they probably have like limitations on how many times you can watch a video online. So ask your review course, call them and say, hey, if I buy your online version, how many times can I watch it before I get locked out? I'm assuming most of them have some sort of limit. Some of them might not. But so my point with that is if you buy FAR, Financial Accounting Reporting, and start watching it in October just because you're really bored, and then you take your exam in February, but by January you've watched Module 1 4 times and they lock you out after 5 or 6 or whatever. You don't want to do that. And so then that's money down the drain. So something to consider. I would wait. Plus, you don't want to start studying until you're really ready because the exam is just horrible. So I can tell you that people who are neck deep in the exam right now wish that they could have the free time that you have right now. So just go have fun and enjoy life. Plenty of time to hate life once January comes. Jason says, did you obtain your CMA? Jason, no, I didn't. Do I plan on getting my CMA? Yes. Just for kicks and giggles, I guess. But after you pass the CPA exam, I do recommend that you move on and do something like the CMA because everyone's passed. CPA exam test taking is that it's like all-time high. It's like 90 to 100,000 people take it a year. And so to be competitive, you have to have that much more of an edge over the competition. So I wouldn't go waste money on an MBA unless Harvard wants to pay you to come get an MBA or something like that. And so yeah, I would jump after the CMA, and I'm probably going to after the first of the year. Vanessa says, on the AICPA website, it says simulations are pre-assigned, unlike multiple choice questions, which get harder as you do better. I'm curious if that means some people get easier simulations than others, and who determines which simulation you get. Vanessa, I will take your word for it because I didn't know that. So I assume that, you do your multiple choice questions. They do use adaptive testing, so you work through your 3 test lists, and then they throw some sims at you. I did not know that that when Vanessa walks in, they have these 6 or 7 tabs for Vanessa. I didn't know that. I just figured it was just bloop, random, but I don't know. So all that to say, I don't know. I'm sure that was a lot of help. But what I can say is, don't worry about it. You can't control it. The only thing that you can control is your preparedness for exam day and how you don't get sidetracked while you're taking the exam. You don't get flustered. You don't let the person taking their bus driver exam next to you and farting. I don't know if the person was taking the bus driver exam next to me once, but they were farting. So, and my earmuffs weren't blocking it out. So, anyway, so, all right. So Cal says, I've tried everything to pass financial. I've watched all the videos. I've used Ninja flashcards and rewritten the notes. I've even used the Wiley test bank. So far, my scores have been 54, 58, 64, and 53. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Ugh. You watched all the videos, used the Ninja flashcards, rewrote the Ninja notes, used the Wiley test bank. Oh man. Okay, well, when you're watching your videos, are you using like the Ninja framework where you watch the videos, like all of the videos first, all 50 hours or some insane amount? You know, if they edited their videos, the courses, to take out the pause and the ums and, oh, my bad, and the my bads, you know, they probably trim it down by 20%, but anyway. So you watch all of the videos, and then you do the multiple choice questions, and you take notes on both, and then you go into your final review and all that. But my question is, when you study, Kyle, are you? I want either you're just not using the right course for your learning style, like you hate PowerPoint, so you need to watch a talking head, or you hate talking heads, and so you need a PowerPoint. So I know some of the review courses like to talk down the PowerPoint courses, and so the the pejorative for a PowerPoint course is the talking head course. So all of that to say, man, you scored 54, 58, 64, and 53. There's something missing there. Either you're just not studying hard, or or you hate your course, or maybe you're using a course from like 2006. But make sure that you're using up-to-date study materials, and that you actually like your course, you like your instructor. The instructor doesn't drive you crazy, so you would get up at 5 a.m., but you cannot stand him or her, and so you just hit the snooze button or whatever. But maybe it's time to switch up your course, and so that's tough. Not knowing all of your details, it's hard to diagnose what's going on there, but I hope that helps a little bit. Judy says, I hope to move on to a Big 4 job soon and want to get my CPA license. Should I start on the exam now, or should I wait until I get a Big 4 job so they'll pay for my review materials? Well, if you wait for your job, they'll pay for your materials. If you're not working now, there would be some benefit to maybe knocking out one. Maybe knock out financial accounting and reporting, because you get into busy season, yada yada. But if they'll pay for your prep materials, that's a pretty big deal. So if you are working now, I would wait till you get your Big 4 job. But if the Big 4 job doesn't come in 6 months, jump into the exam. I mean, you might. I mean, if you wait until you get the Big 4 job to take the exam and it never comes, then you'll never pass. Obviously, if you are not working right now, maybe take one section and then get your Big 4 job, and then let them pay for the very expensive materials that are out there. All right, final question. Carolyn says, I graduated in 2003 and need more review than someone that just graduated. My textbooks are out of date, and I haven't found a college class that I can audit. Do you have any suggestions? All right. Any CPA review course worth its salt should be able to take someone who understands the difference between a debit and a credit, and you take the material and pass. Because the material, the CPA exam, is information in a vacuum. So you take the information, you study it. If you understand the difference between a debit and a credit, then they should be able to tell you why something is a debit, why something is a credit, what you do in XYZ. Like they should be able to teach you that. And that's my opinion. They might disagree, but because obviously not everyone is going to be able to. I mean, not everyone passes the CPA exam, but I think like what 80%, 85% of the people who start actually finish. And so I don't think that you need to go audit some college class. Like, college does not prepare you for the CPA exam. And I mean, college, you know, I'm not even sure college teaches you how to be an accountant. I mean, because they don't, anyway, that's for a different podcast. But so I would just jump into your review course. And since you've been out of school for almost 10 years, before you invest your money, watch the demos of the course and make sure that they are teaching you the material, not just reviewing the material that they assume that you already kind of know. So there's a difference. Watch the demos. And I don't know what that was, but watch the videos and hopefully, before you invest, watch the videos. All right, well, thank you for tuning in today. I hope this was worth your time, and hope you like the new video podcast. You can notice behind me, I actually vacuumed for you. So, anyway, take care, everyone. Have a good one, and I will talk to you soon.
And I love my friend here. You notice he never answers the question.